Welcome back to Coach Talk. Hi, LJ.
Hi, Dave. How are you? Hi, everyone.
We are remote today. LJ is elsewhere, and which means I'm elsewhere. So we are both elsewhere, and LJ's on the phone. How you been?
Good, thanks, buddy. Yourself?
Working hard as usual. So just before our podcast, which is going to be just a quick one, I always say that, quick podcast.
Is there such a thing with us?
No. Now, our previous podcast, we did one on using your non-dominant hand. And
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to you, LJ, because just recently for our listeners, we did a 3-day course, which was unbelievably good. And I sat next to you, I sat next to LJ and watched you write pages and pages and pages of notes with your non-dominant hand, with your left hand. And the interesting thing was, I'm left-handed, I watched you write quicker than me. So shout out to you, because watching you complete all these notes and write down gold nugget after gold nugget information, and we are still going to be lifelong learners. And you did it because your arm's in a sling still. You've had some work on your right arm. You did a sensational job, and watching you do that, I applaud you, because you're walking the walk and talking the talk, and you are using your non-dominant side. Just unbelievable. I'm so impressed. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Whether it's legible or not, that's a different story.
I never said it was legible.
Yeah, actually, just for listeners out there, it's amazing when you challenge yourself. Just as a little side note, it's amazing when you challenge yourself what you actually can achieve.
Yeah.
So for me to actually be able to sustain what we had coming up, I have no choice but to use my left hand.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, it's actually it's clicked in so many other things, and it's more organically natural now to just pick up a pen in my left hand and let's go.
I think it's great. I think we were talking in the last podcast how it opens up so many parts of the body and accesses other parts of your brain where ambidexterity comes in, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it real life firsthand with what you were doing. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. And just a shout out to everybody else who's doing the same sort of thing, this challenge. You never know what you're capable of until you've got no choice. So embrace it. You'll be so grateful that you did, and so surprised at how you were able to lift yourself into the next level with just the smallest thing. Yeah. Small steps. What do we say in our business group? Effort compounds, so that the small 1% changes make huge differences in a short amount of time.
It does. 1% a day, yeah.
1%. I am a 1%, and I'm very proud.
As you should be. So today, very quick podcast. I want to tell you a story.
I love Uncle Dave's stories.
I want to tell you a story. So I was away on the weekend, interstate. I was in Tasmania doing some work-related stuff, and I caught up with a great bunch of people. As a side note, it's amazing when you surround yourself with like-minded people. It lifts you. You know who your tribe are. And I was with like-minded people in a work environment. I loved it. It was fantastic, and it just made my weekend, which is great. I flew back from Tassie on the Sunday evening, landed back in Melbourne. And then my car is parked in the long-term car park at Melbourne Airport, as most people do. So I got on the long-term bus to take me to the car park.
Okay.
Now, it was pretty busy. It was full. There were people standing everywhere and rocking and rolling as the bus is moving, and I was one of the people standing up. And we got to the end of the airport part where the international bit is, and a lot of people got off. So they're getting off, which means the bus was pretty much half full or half empty, depends on how you see it. And there were some available seats right in front of me. And there was a lovely lady standing next to me, and I'm guessing she was probably younger than me. So I turned around to her, and there was one spare seat, and I said, "Would you like to sit down?" And she looked at me with the most horrified look. She was unhappy, and she replied to me, "That's great. Make me out to be old, why don't you?"
What?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
wow. So I said, actually, I was brought up with old school manners and respect. I was just offering you a seat. You don't have to sit if you don't want to, but I just thought you might want to sit down. So she then turned around and said, well, now I have to sit down because everybody's looking at me. Thanks a lot.
Oh, wow. Talk about that's more than a 10-minute conversation, I would,
Oh,
Dave.
we could talk for hours on this. So she sat down, and I was just thinking, for me, I stayed silent, and I was just thinking, there's a podcast in this. So she looked up at me again, and I thought, I'm just going to volunteer one more thing because she was obviously a little bit miffed. How do you like that word? She was
I
miffed.
love the word miffed.
She was miffed. So I said, I'm getting off at the next stop. And she goes, well, you could have told me. No, so it didn't matter what I said. She had this negative perception. She was not overly happy, which is that's fine. So I thought about it, and I thought, I'm going to do a podcast on this. And the podcast is related to, we can't control what others say or do. We can't control how they feel, but we can control how we react to it.
We'll more respond to it. I think
Yeah.
she was reactive and you were responsive. Does that make
It,
sense?
it makes a lot of sense. So for me, and we all change as time goes on, and we change as we learn and we study and we grow and things like that. I see a lot at the moment post-COVID, especially in Melbourne. There's a lot of people that react quickly. There's a lot of, you see people in the street, arguments start up, or road rage is very common at the moment on Victorian roads. It's interesting where if you just allow a little bit of silence and just let it sit and let it be, and a little bit of awareness of how she feels and where she's at, is it has nothing to do with me. I have no idea what she's thinking. I have no idea what happened to her that day, the day before, 5 minutes ago. I've got no concept whether something's happened that has just made her unhappy. I have no idea. So it was just an interesting learning curve for me, that in just maintaining silence, there's nothing to say. I still show up as I show up, and I still show my values, which is respect. And I believe, for me, and not everybody has to do this, but I believe in chivalry. I offer people seats, and it's nothing to do with age. It's just somebody was there, and if it was a guy with a heavy bag on his back, I probably would have offered him the seat as well. It's got nothing to
Yeah.
do with any of that. It's just the way I am, is my values.
It's common courtesy.
Yeah, it is. So
And it's actually gratitude towards somebody else. So,
very much
yeah.
so. So she wasn't having a good day, or maybe her perception of that is different to mine. The point is for
Interesting.
Yeah, so the point for the quick podcast today was, I just want to encourage people to just let something sit with them for a while. If you get the response you didn't think you're going to get, if something didn't work out as you expected, let it be, and just think about
Yeah.
it, and just maintain your values, maintain how you show up, and understand that it may have completely nothing to do with you. It might be something you didn't see, or you haven't heard, or you didn't witness in the other person previously. Don't take it personally.
Oh, I really like that story. And if is it okay if we take it one step further? So, in that whole conversation, that whole story that you told us, you actually shone a mirror on her, and she, in her comment that, great, now everyone is looking at me, because ultimately how we respond says more about who we are
Yeah.
than it does about the other person. So she was aware of her own rudeness. She just didn't know how to deal with it. So please know that regardless of how you show up, take accountability and responsibility as you did beautifully, and know that whatever reaction you get back is actually says more about the person you're interacting with than it does about you.
It certainly does. I remember when I got on the bus to go to the terminal, when I parked my car, there was a husband and wife and three kids. They were all fairly young, under 10. And there was only a couple of seats left. And I stood up and said, guys, grab these seats so you can all sit together. And the wife said, are you sure? And I just looked and said, you have a tribe. and her and her husband said, thank you so much. Don't worry about it. It's easy. I just stood near them and hung on to the little loopy thing that hangs down from the
Yeah.
ceiling. their perspective was different again to the person I met on the way back. And you're 100% correct. It's how they see themselves. It's where they are at that moment in themselves. It actually has nothing to do with me. I was just interested with the two differences in reactions by two different people or groups of people. And it's
so good. Such a good story of it is, and sadly it's reflective of a lot of things at the moment. So let's challenge our beautiful listeners, because we're trying to keep these nice and short, just as a grab takeaway today. How are you actually showing up? Are you reacting, or are you responding with common courtesy and compassion and empathy and just good old-fashioned manners?
Yeah. A smile goes a long way.
A smile, what is it that saying? A smile is your greeting card. Possess it if you can.
Yeah.
But because we go far and wide, you never know, that beautiful person might actually be listening. So if that was you, Uncle Dave is really sorry that was your experience. However, take a beat, have a breath, and know that it was meant in absolute compassionate way to offer you the seat, and your reaction may need a little bit of work, because it's probably going to be why your life's a little bit not where you want it to be at the moment.
I should have just spun around and sat on her knee and said, "Hey, how do you like them apples?"
Well, no, that's not you either.
No, it's not, but yeah.
It's not. But thank you for the sharing. It was a great little snippet today.
Yeah, just something to think about. It was an interesting exchange. So yeah, it's
How do you show up? Are you choosing to respond or react?
Absolutely. Hey, I think we've set a new record with a quick podcast. What do you think?
Let's go. Let's coffee time.
You said coffee, didn't you?
I did say coffee.
Well, time for coffee. Thank you very much, LJ. Thanks for the quick chat.
You are so welcome. Always great experience. And have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Enjoy your little quick short with us.
Awesome. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Hi, it's LJ and Dave here. Thank you so much for listening to the latest podcast.
We love what we do, and we know you get something great out of each and every publication.
So don't forget to jump on the website, coachtalk.com.au. Leave us a message. Let us know what you're up to, what you're enjoying, what you're loving most, and what else you'd like to see us do.
You can also find all of our content on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Apple Music.
Coachtalk.com.au is the website.
Coach Talk. We've got you.